Wisdom, wisdom, that's the test. Which rival wisdom team is best? 52 teams of 8 antique rival wisdoms that have passed the test of time to encourage, educate and entertain generations for centuries.
Team 5 Move with Purpose. Quote definitions, biographical context, and synergy analysis 2. Replace hate with motivational education to guidealife.com. Quote 5.1. Never cut what you can untie. Joseph Joubert 1754–1824. Quote definition. The irreversible solution, cutting through a knot, destroys what the reversible solution, untying, preserves. When the slower, more patient approach can accomplish what the faster, more violent one achieves, the patient approach is always superior because it leaves the rope intact for future use. Permanent destruction is the worst available solution to a problem that careful patients can resolve without destroying anything. Quote application. Moving with purpose in the mission of making America wiser and kinder requires the discrimination between problems that require the cutting solution and problems that require the untying patience. Most of what the mission encounters, resisting communities, entrenched beliefs, long-form patterns of thought, are knots, not ropes that must be severed. Untie them carefully, and the rope remains. Cut them, and the community is divided in a new way. Joseph Joubert appears in Teams 19, 27, and 50 as well. His observations about imagination, teaching as double learning, and genius requiring labor anchored those frameworks. Born in 1754 in Montignac, Périgord, France, Joubert published nothing during his lifetime, spending his adult life as a private thinker and correspondent whose notebooks were published posthumously by his friend Chateaubriand to immediate recognition as some of the finest aphoristic writing in French literature. His observation about cutting and untying reflects his characteristic combination of practical wisdom and moral precision. The patience to untie what cutting would destroy is not timidity, but the higher intelligence that understands what is worth preserving. He had spent his life in the careful untying of ideas, refusing to cut through conceptual knots that patient thought could resolve, and the notebooks that resulted were worth more than the quickly cut alternatives would have produced. This quote specifically encourages individuals to 1. Apply the untying test before reaching for the cutting solution. Can patience, care, and genuine engagement resolve this without the permanent destruction that cutting produces? If yes, untie. 2. Recognize that hatred and prejudice are knots, not ropes to be severed. The community whose hatred is cut through by force or shaming has not been untied, but more tightly knotted. Untie through wisdom and genuine human connection. 3. Apply Joubert's principle to the mission's methods, the patience of genuine wisdom education, the care of real community engagement, the gentle persistence of honest relationship. These are untying, and they preserve the rope that cutting destroys.
Quote 5.2. I may walk slowly, but I never walk backward. Abraham Lincoln, 1809 to 1865. Quote definition. The direction of movement matters more than its speed. Slow forward movement, however gradual, however frustrating in its pace, accumulates into genuine progress. Backward movement, however confident and however rapid it feels in the moment, undoes what the slow forward movement had built. The slow walker going forward is always ahead of the fast walker who is reversed. Quote application. Moving with purpose means maintaining direction regardless of pace. The mission's slow periods, the quarters when progress is invisible, the communities that seem unchanged, the years when cultural transformation seems further away than it was, are not failures if the direction is maintained. Walk slowly through the difficult stretches. Never walk backward. The forward accumulation continues even when it cannot be seen. Abraham Lincoln appears in Teams 43 and 51 as well, where his two faces, jest and skunk publicity wisdom anchored those frameworks. Born in 1809 in Hardin County, Kentucky, Lincoln's observation about slow walking and never walking backward is autobiographical in the deepest sense. His path to the presidency was among the slowest available. failed business, failed elections, professional setbacks, personal grief, the sustained difficulty of the 1850s political landscape. He walked slowly. He never walked backward. The Emancipation Proclamation and the preservation of the Union were the accumulated forward movement of a man who refused reversal regardless of pace. This quote specifically encourages individuals to 1. Maintain forward direction as a non-negotiable, even when pace must be reduced to the slowest sustainable movement, because direction is what accumulates into progress, while pace only determines how quickly it arrives. 2. Apply the never backward standard to the mission's most difficult periods. Slow is acceptable, backward is not. The community still being worked with after 3 years of slow progress is 3 years further forward than it was. 3. Distinguish clearly between the slow forward that feels like stagnation and the backward movement that feels like strategic retreat. Lincoln's wisdom is that only the second is the actual failure, and the slow forward is always success in the only form that actually matters.
Quote 5.3. A heart to resolve, a head to contrive, and a hand to execute. Edward Gibbon, 1737 to 1794. Quote definition. Purposeful movement requires all three elements in their proper sequence. The heart's resolve, the genuine commitment that provides the motivating will, the head's contrivance, the intelligence that designs the strategy that the resolve demands, and the hand's execution, the actual work that converts the design into accomplished reality. Any two without the third produces an incomplete result. Resolve and intelligence without execution remains plan. Resolve and execution without intelligence is passionate but misdirected. Intelligence and execution without resolve is technically accomplished but motivationally hollow. Quote application. The mission of moving with purpose requires Gibbon's complete triple. Genuine heart resolve for human dignity and wisdom's power. Genuine head contrivance about how wisdom education actually reaches communities and changes minds. And genuine hand execution in the form of the actual workbooks produced, communities engaged, and relationships built. All three in sequence, together, the complete architecture of purposeful movement. Edward Gibbon was born in 1737 in Putney, Surrey, England, educated at Magdalen College, Oxford, which he described as 14 months of the most idle and unprofitable of his whole life, read voraciously in Lausanne during his late teens, and spent the following decades producing the history of the decline and fall of the Roman Empire, 6 volumes, published between 1776 and 1789, covering 13 centuries of history with a combination of meticulous scholarship and prose style that made it one of the greatest historical works in any language. His observation about heart, head, and hand reflects the complete architecture of that achievement. His resolve to write the history was genuine. His intellectual design of how to organize it was extraordinary. His actual execution across 30-plus years of writing was the hand that converted resolve and design into the accomplished 6 volumes. Yet all three. The result was the decline and fall. This quote specifically encourages individuals to 1. Assess which of the 3 elements is currently missing or weakest, the resolve that provides the will, the intelligence that designs the strategy, or the execution that converts plan into accomplished reality, and address the specific gap rather than the general difficulty. 2. Apply Gibbon's triple to the mission's operations. Genuine heartfelt resolve for the mission's purpose, genuine intellectual contrivance about the most effective approaches, and genuine hands-on execution of the actual work. All 3, none substituting for the others. 3. Use the heart-head-hand sequence as the diagnostic. When movement stalls, identify which of the 3 has failed. A failure of resolve, a failure of design, or a failure of execution, because the diagnosis determines the remedy.
Quote 5.4. Self-development is a higher duty than self-sacrifice. Elizabeth Cady, Stanton, 1815 to 1902. Quote definition. The moral hierarchy that elevates self-sacrifice above self-development has the order reversed. The person who genuinely develops themselves, who becomes wiser, more capable, more genuinely excellent, is in the strongest position to serve others, while the person who sacrifices self-development for immediate service reduces their future capacity to serve. Genuine self-development is not selfish, but the highest available preparation for genuine service. Quote application. Moving with purpose in the mission requires everyone who carries it to invest in their own genuine development, to become genuinely wiser, more capable, more deeply knowledgeable, rather than sacrificing that development to the immediate demands of service. The mission served by depleted, Undeveloped carriers is served less well than the mission served by people who have honored the higher duty of genuine self-development alongside their service. Elizabeth Cady Stanton was born in 1815 in Johnstown, New York, educated at Emma Willard's Troy Female Seminary. Co-organized the Seneca Falls Convention of 1848 that launched the American women's rights movement. Co-authored the Declaration of Sentiments modeled on the Declaration of Independence, and spent the following 50 years writing, speaking, and organizing for women's full civic equality. She appears in Team 33 as well, where her observation about making the ballot a birthright anchored the accountability layer. Her observation about self-development as a higher duty than self-sacrifice was not a comfortable position in an era that expected women's self-sacrifice as the natural expression of feminine virtue. It was a radical claim that genuine self-development was moral rather than selfish, and that the society organized around women's self-sacrifice rather than their self-development was organized around a moral error. She had spent her life developing herself against precisely the cultural pressure to sacrifice instead. This quote specifically encourages individuals to 1. Invest in genuine self-development, becoming wiser, more capable, more deeply knowledgeable, as the higher moral duty rather than the selfish alternative to service, because developed selves serve more fully than sacrificed ones. 2. Apply Stanton's moral hierarchy to the mission's sustainability. The people who carry this work most effectively are those who have honored the higher duty of genuine self-development alongside their service, not those who have sacrificed development for immediate demands. 3. Recognize that the wisdom education the mission provides is itself Stanton's higher duty in action. Every workbook completed, every principle genuinely absorbed is self-development that serves the mission's purpose better than any equivalent sacrifice of that development would.
Quote 5.5. Good, better, best. Never let it rest till your good is better and your better is best. St. Jerome 347 to 420 AD. Quote definition. The relentless improvement standard, appearing here for the 5th time in the collection's first 5 teams, has now fully transitioned from explicit principle to operational assumption. In teams 1 through 4 it was established with increasing emphasis as the foundational floor. In Team 5 it is the reminder that the floor remains constant even as each new team builds its own framework on top of it. Good, better, best never rests, and it never stops being the assumed ground. Quote application. In Team 5's Move with Purpose framework, Jerome's standard serves as the anchor that keeps purpose from settling into comfortable sufficiency. The purposeful movement that stops improving has already begun to drift. Joubert's careful untying, Lincoln's forward direction, Gibbon's heart-head hand, Stanton's self-development, all of this purposeful movement is directed by the relentless standard that never rests at any current level of accomplishment. This quote specifically encourages individuals to 1. Carry the good, better, best standard forward from the explicit foundation laying of teams 1 through 4 into the assumed operating rhythm of Team 5 and all that follows. It does not need to be stated to be operative. 2. Apply the relentless standard specifically to purposeful movement. Purpose without the improvement standard produces movement that is directed but not developing. The combination of genuine purpose and relentless improvement is what purposeful movement at its best looks like. 3. Recognize that Team 5 carries the Jerome anchor not because the standard needed reestablishing, but because its presence here confirms what Teams 1 through 4 established. It is always present, always operative, the ground everything stands on.
Quote 5.6. Honest hearts produce honest actions. Brigham Young 1801 to 1877. Quote definition. The quality of action is a direct expression of the quality of the interior from which it proceeds. Honest hearts, genuinely committed to truth, to integrity, to the alignment of inner and outer, produce honest actions as naturally as honest actions, in turn, reinforce honest hearts. The causal flow is from interior to exterior. The character of the source determines the character of what flows from it. Quote application. Moving with purpose requires that the purpose itself be honest, proceeding from genuine commitment to human dignity rather than from strategic positioning, from genuine care for communities rather than from organizational self-interest. Honest hearts produce honest actions, which produce genuine community trust, which is the only foundation on which the mission's purpose can be genuinely achieved. The interior determines the exterior. Ensure the interior is genuine. Brigham Young appears in teams 20, 21, 24, and 28 as well. His practical moral observations anchor multiple frameworks across the collection. Born in 1801 in Whitingham, Vermont, Young led the largest mass migration in American history. The Mormon pioneer trekked to Utah, governed Utah Territory, and managed one of the most remarkable communal organizations of the 19th century. His observation about honest hearts producing honest actions reflects the interior-exterior causality that his entire organizational career demonstrated. The communities and institutions he built were, at their best, expressions of the genuine commitments of the hearts that built them. He understood from the inside of large-scale organizational leadership that the quality of what organizations produce is the direct expression of the quality of what the people within them genuinely believe and genuinely intend. This quote specifically encourages individuals to 1. Attend first to the quality of the interior, the honesty of the heart, the genuineness of the commitment, the authenticity of the purpose, as the upstream condition that determines the quality of everything that flows from it. 2. Apply Young's interior-exterior causality to the mission. The honest hearts of those who carry this work produce the honest actions that build the genuine community trust that is the only foundation of genuine long-term impact. 3. Use this as the standing diagnostic for action that is not producing expected results. When honest actions are not flowing, examine the hearts from which the actions are proceeding, because the problem upstream is almost always the explanation for the problem downstream.
Quote 5.7. An ounce of action is worth a ton of theory. Ralph Waldo Emerson, 1803 to 1882. Quote definition. The actual doing, however small, however imperfect, however incomplete, produces something real that the most elaborate theoretical framework, unacted upon, cannot produce. Theory is the preparation for action, it is not the substitute for it. The ounce of action has a reality that the ton of theory, however weighty and however comprehensive, does not possess until the action converts it into something that actually exists in the world. Quote application. Moving with purpose requires eventually moving, the ounce of actual wisdom shared, of genuine community engagement, of real human connection made is worth more than any elaborately designed strategy that has not yet been executed. The mission that plans brilliantly and executes minimally is producing theory at the ton-weight scale. The mission that plans adequately and executes genuinely is producing the ounce-weight reality that actually changes things. Ralph Waldo Emerson appears in teams 19, 33, 45, 47, and 50 as well. His observations about purposeful engagement, doing what you fear, work curing worry, and the penny saved anchor multiple frameworks. Born in 1803 in Boston, educated at Harvard, and spending 5 decades as the central figure of American transcendentalism, Emerson was himself a man whose ounces of action vastly outweighed his considerable tons of theory. His lectures and essays were not abstract philosophy but practical instruction, delivered in person to audiences of thousands who came specifically to hear what the theory recommended in terms of actual living. He understood the weight comparison from his own career's experience. The ideas that actually changed people were the ones that produced action, and the ideas that produced only more ideas had not yet achieved what ideas were for. This quote specifically encourages individuals to 1. Prioritize the ounce of actual action over the ton of additional theory, not because theory is worthless but because theory is preparation for action, and the preparation that never becomes the thing prepared for has not fulfilled its purpose. 2. Apply Emerson's weight comparison to the mission's operations. The workbook in use is worth more than the workbook in design. The community engagement happening is worth more than the community engagement strategy being refined. The wisdom shared is worth more than the wisdom planned for sharing. 3. Use Emerson's ounce-ton comparison as the standing urgency prompt. When the mission is in a period of extensive planning and minimal execution, the comparison is the reminder that moving with purpose means moving. The action is the purpose, not the plan for it.
Quote 5.8. Little deeds are like little seeds. They grow to flowers or to weeds. Daniel D. Palmer, 1845 to 1918. Quote definition. Small actions, the apparently insignificant daily choices about what to do and what not to do, are not neutral. They are seeds whose nature determines what they grow into. Genuine small deeds of kindness, honesty, and wisdom grow into the flowers of genuine character and genuine community. Small deeds of neglect, dishonesty, and cruelty grow into the weeds that crowd out what flowers would otherwise occupy. Every seed is already the thing it will become, only smaller. Quote application. Team 5 closes with Palmer's seed principle as the complete statement of why moving with purpose in small daily acts matters so completely. The mission's every small act, every wisdom principle shared in a single conversation, every kindness extended in a single community encounter, every honest engagement with a single resistant person is a seed. The flower or the weed it grows into is determined by the nature of the seed, not by the scale at which it is planted. Plant flowers. Daniel D. Palmer appears in Team 52 as well, where his mill and pass water observation anchored the present engagement layer of the final team. Born in 1845 in Port Perry, Ontario, and founding chiropractic medicine in Davenport, Iowa, Palmer was also a writer of practical philosophy, whose observations about seeds and deeds reflected his understanding of how small choices compound into large outcomes. From his medical work, he understood that small imbalances accumulate into large problems, and small corrections accumulate into genuine health. His seed and deed observation translates that medical insight into moral philosophy. The small action is already the large outcome in its earliest form, and the nature of what it will become is already present in what it is. Choose the seeds carefully, because the flowers and weeds are already in them. This quote specifically encourages individuals to 1. Take small daily actions seriously as seeds rather than dismissing them as too small to matter, because every flower and every weed was once a seed that seemed too small to worry about, and the garden's character is determined by what seeds are consistently planted. 2. Apply Palmer's CD principle to the mission's daily small actions. Every small wisdom encounter, every small kindness, every small honest engagement is a seed that will grow into something. Make sure it is a flower seed rather than a weed seed. 3. Close Team 5 with the complete statement of moving with purpose. Untie rather than cut, Joubert. Move forward, however slowly, Lincoln. Combine heart, head, hand, Gibbon. Develop self as the higher duty, Stanton. Improve relentlessly, Jerome. Let honest hearts produce honest actions, Young. Act rather than theorize, Emerson. And plant the seeds whose flowers you want to see grow, Palmer.
How they work together as a unified philosophy to replace hate and guide a life with motivational education for all. The Move with Purpose framework. Wisdom and direction layer. Never cut what can be untied and never walk backward. Quotes 1-2. Joubert. Establish the patient wisdom that purposeful movement requires. Untie rather than cut. Preserving what cutting would destroy through the patience that genuine wisdom makes possible. Lincoln. Establish the direction that patient wisdom must maintain. Never backward, however slow. Ensuring that the patience of untying does not become the regression of giving ground. Together, the wisdom and the direction of purposeful movement. Joubert's untying patience ensures that the movement uses the most preserving available method. Lincoln's never backward direction ensures that the patient method is still forward movement. Patient enough to untie, committed enough never to walk backward. The combination is the complete wisdom of how to move with purpose through resistant terrain. Architecture and development layer. Heart, head, hand, and self-development as higher duty. Quotes 3-4. Gibbon. Provide the complete architecture of purposeful achievement. Resolve to will, intelligence to design, execution to accomplish. Ensuring that purpose is not a single quality but a triple combination. Stanton. Establish self-development as the higher duty that keeps the Gibbon architecture genuinely capable. The developed head contrives better. The developed heart resolves more honestly. The developed hand executes more skillfully. Together, the architecture and the development that purposeful movement requires. Gibbon's heart-head-hand is the complete structure. None of the three is sufficient without the other two, and the structure requires all three in sequence. Stanton's higher duty of self-development ensures that the structure's components are continuously improving. The developed heart resolves more genuinely, the developed head contrives more intelligently, the developed hand executes more skillfully. Develop the architecture. Keep improving its components. Standard and integrity layer. Relentless improvement and honest hearts. Quotes 5-6. Jerome. provide the assumed operational floor, good, better, best, never at rest, now in its 5th team appearance, confirming its status as the permanent background rhythm that all purposeful movement moves against. Young, establish the interior condition that genuine movement requires, honest hearts producing honest actions, ensuring that the purpose is genuine rather than performed, because only genuine purpose produces genuine movement. Together, the standard and the integrity of purposeful movement. Jerome's relentless standard is the direction, always toward better, never resting at good. Young's honest hearts is the condition, the interior genuineness that produces the genuine actions that genuine purpose requires. The standard directs, the honest heart fuels it with what is genuinely genuine rather than strategically performed. Action and consequence layer. Ounce of action and seeds growing to flowers or weeds, quotes 7-8. Emerson, provide the urgency that converts purposeful intention into purposeful movement. The ounce of action worth more than the ton of theory, ensuring that the purpose produces action rather than endless preparation for action. Palmer, close the framework with the complete statement of why small purposeful actions matter so completely. Little seeds grow to flowers or weeds, establishing the long-term consequence of the ounce of action as the thing that determines what the garden of character and community eventually becomes. Together, the urgency and the long-term consequence of purposeful action. Emerson's ounce over ton comparison provides the urgency. Act, because the action produces what theory only describes. Palmer's seed principle provides the long-term consequence. The small action that Emerson urges is already the flower or weed it will become, and the garden it grows into is the cumulative result of the seeds consistently planted. Act with urgency, plant with care. The garden follows from both.
Free Easy Extra Advantage Math, spelling and reading workbooks you can download for free at stop2think.com or buy at educationstopshate.com. Free Easy Math Wisdom Workbooks with octo repetition to grow math self-confidence. You'll get plenty of repetitive practice of age ranges and averages of our 52 teams of 8 quote authors. Free Easy Alpha Cipher-coded puzzles teach letters, numbers, and phrases using antique wisdoms that encourage and educate. Can you decode this cipher quote of encouragement using either our Learning to Spell or just for fun instructions? And since time is money, practice reading faster with 52 teams of antique rival wisdoms that have passed the test of time to encourage, educate, and entertain generations for centuries. We offer printed versions and timed videos with background music. Sign up for free weekly emails of 52 teams of antique rival wisdom workbooks with easy math, spelling, and reading practice. And, if you'd like to get paid for sharing our wearable wisdoms, keep this in mind. Everyone I know wears a shirt, and most of us change them daily, so change your shirt and change the world. Social equalities are blatantly subliminal antique positive wisdoms repetitively shared without saying a word. This applies to all our wearable shareable wisdoms. Like pretty witty baby onesies and baby tees that you and others will see and read multiple times a day. The same is true with pretty witty kids, but they'll also share these wisdoms with anyone that can read at daycare or school. Youthful truths let your kids gain confidence sharing antique wisdoms with their friends. Imagine them sharing words of wisdom with classmates and teachers. Therefore I think tees I wear is a super easy way to share words of wisdom that have passed the test of time. Our social equalities help make us all wiser and kinder with blatantly subliminal messages promoting a more fair and equal opportunity society for all. And don't forget our giftwisdoms.com for birthdays and holidays that makes it easy to share the wisdom with clothing, coffee mugs, and magnets. So do the future a favor by encouraging, educating, and entertaining with words of wisdom that have passed the test of time to make us all wiser and kinder. With wearable wisdoms to fit babies, kids, and adults. You can clothe a whole family, city, or state. Join the 52 of 8 today.